So lesson 9.3 has us solving some special kinds of quadratic equations. And the only thing that makes these special and able to be solved with normal algebra skills is that we're still missing that b value. So first example of this, notice, when I look at standard form, it's ax squared plus bx plus c. Well, we don't have the b value. That's what makes this possible. Otherwise, we got to rely on some other strategy. But I'm going to start with just normal algebra steps. And my goal is to get x squared by itself. So if I add 27 over, then divide by 3, x squared is by itself. And the opposite of squaring something is square rooting something. So this is a new algebra step for us to use to successfully solve an equation. But these are the answers I get. I don't just get one, because think about it. X squared means something times itself. Well, that gives us two options. 3 times 3 is 9. And -3 times -3 is also 9. So I have two solutions here. So I'm going to get two solutions when I square root a positive number. Square root of a positive gives me two solutions. Should always expect that. Another example. Going to get x squared alone first again. So I got to add 10 over, but now I have -10 plus 10 is 0. Square root to get rid of the exponent. And the square root of 0 is 0. 0 times 0 is 0. So whenever we square root 0 as part of our equation, we're going to end up with only one solution. Hopefully that makes sense, because -0 and +0 would be the same number, so we don't actually get two different solutions. It's just 0 when we square root 0. Last normal example here. Subtract 11, divide by -5. Now x squared should be alone. 5 divided by -5 is -1. And this gives us our final case. This is a no solution problem, because you can't get a negative number when you square a normal real number, because a negative times a negative is a positive, and a positive times a positive is a positive. So I shouldn't be able to get a negative answer. So if at some point I have to square root a negative number, that's my no solution. All right, so we got three cases. If during your solving process you square root a positive number, you should expect two solutions. If somewhere during your solving process you square root the number 0, you should only get one solution for that problem. And if at some point you have to try to square root a negative number, you should get no solution. So there's one more we're going to look at that just makes us use the square root a little bit different. It's really the same type of problem, but makes us read it slightly differently. So here's our slightly different one. So this is all one term. In the grand scheme of things, this is one term. All right? So the squared thing is already alone. The parentheses is the thing that's squared, and the parentheses is the only thing on its side. So I can just go straight ahead and square root from the start for this problem. So it gets rid of the exponent, and I'm just left with the x minus 1. And then the square root of 25, we're square rooting a positive number, so I get two answers, +5 and -5. This might remind you a little bit of solving absolute value equations back in first semester. So now I do my algebra steps on each one. This side gets me 6 for an answer, and this side gets me -4. that a little bit better. -4. All right, and if we go back and plug that into the original equation, fix all of my scratch work here. If I plug 6 in, 6 minus 1 is 5. 5 squared is 25. Works. -4. -4 minus 1 is -5. -5 squared, -5 times -5 is also 25. So we can go back and check and our answers work. So even though square rooting wasn't the last step in my problem, I still get 2 answers out of it. And it's kind of like when we would solve absolute value equations, is it would split into a positive and a negative answer because there's 2 possibilities to get our solution. So that's really the gist of lesson 9.3. There's more ways to throw curveballs at you, but this is really the main piece of the lesson.